Hi, I'm Erin Power.
And I'm Laura Rupsis.
We're certified health coaches, and this is Health Coach Radio.
This podcast is about the art, science, and business of health coaching.
We share our insider tips to help you become a better coach and entrepreneur.
And we interview expert guests to discover how they've made it in this growing field.
It's time for health coaches to make an impact.
It's time for Health Coach Radio.
Our guest today is Emily Countryman, founder of Shift Set Go, an incredibly successful chain of brick and mortar weight loss clinics in Washington State. This was a really neat conversation because Emily's business is an actual storefront where clients come in for their coaching sessions. Of course, 2020 dealt a hard blow to just about any kind of retail shop around the world, so Emily had to pivot her business online quickly. The project of digitizing her offering, which had been earmarked to get up and running sometime within the next few years, was suddenly front-burnered and accomplished in 1 week. My favorite part of this discussion is how business-like Emily's business is. I know that probably sounds like strange praise, but it always feels so encouraging to hear of health coaches who have treated their business like a business rather than a side hustle or a hobby. Side hustles are totally cool, but it's also cool to hear another perspective. We'd love to have you screenshot your podcast player and tag us on Instagram at Health Coach Radio. The show notes for this episode and all previous episodes of Health Coach Radio can be found at primalhealthcoach.com/radio. Enrollment is now open for the fall semester of the Primal Health Coach Institute Level 2 certification course, an advanced coaching course that teaches you how to create transformational coach-client relationships, which is the best way to grow your coaching practice. Not only will you learn and practice advanced coaching skills, but this course also satisfies the educational requirements to enable you to sit for the MBC HWC credentialing exam so you can become a board-certified health and wellness coach. Fun fact, PHCI has a 100% pass rate for this board exam. Every one of our graduates who've sat the board exam have passed it. Stay tuned to the end of our show to learn more or visit primalhealthcoach.com/level2. If you've ever thought about opening a weight loss clinic, like a real live in-person clinic, this conversation will get your wheels turning. Please welcome Emily Countryman.
All right, Emily Countryman. We are so excited to talk to you because as fellow health coaches, we love talking to other fellow health coaches and their journey and their story and how you got to where you're at. Because one of the biggest questions we get from our little community of health coaches is how do I even really do this? I'm really struggling with getting my business up off the ground, or I have this goal that I want to pursue and they just don't know how to get there. So I would love for you to give us your story about where you started, why you wanted to become a health coach, and kind of your journey to where you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. So I have been a health coach and in the weight loss and wellness space for about a decade, so since summer of 2011, and I kind of came into it backwards. So I didn't know that I was going to be a health coach. I actually didn't know what that was back in 2011. I think that was kind of the near the beginning of people becoming health coaches. And I just had a desire for myself, like most, to lose weight. So I was looking for different options. I had tried the, worst advice ever, eat less, move more. That didn't work, surprisingly. And so I came across a program that worked right away. So it was actually more on the science of how you actually burn fat, so not just lose weight, because I didn't want to lose any more of my lean mass from yo-yo dieting, cutting calories, that type of thing. And once I realized, oh my gosh, this works, this is how my body and most bodies are actually going to burn fat, I knew that I needed to share that with more people. So what I did have going into it, which I think is a little opposite from other health coaches starting a business, is I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew my whole life I would start a business. So this just kind of fell into place in that way. And I thought, okay, this is going to be great to help other people lose weight. Mm-hmm. So for probably 2 years, I was coaching other people to do what I had done to lose weight, but quickly realized, because I was just offering them one specific program, there wasn't coaching training attached to that. And so I was kind of realizing it backwards, that I was coaching, but I didn't really have the tools I needed to be a very effective coach. I'm much more black and white. Well, hey, I figured it out. Why is everyone not doing this?
Right. That's so common.
Easy, right? This is how you lose weight. So I told you this is how to do it. Why aren't you doing it? And realizing that the actual coaching is what was needed there. So that's when I went and became a certified health coach. And that really changed the game, because you could either be really great at health coaching or really great at business, but I think you really need both of them together, and the desire to do both of them to have a successful business. So, when you say there's a lot of health coaches out there, they're just starting, they're trying to run a business, I would kind of take a step back and say, do I want to run a business, or do I want to maybe work with someone else, or work in a healthcare setting, or a integrative medicine office, something like that, and be an employee? There's nothing wrong with being an employee and be an amazing health coach, because maybe that's what they want to do. So if they are really struggling, I would probably start there and ask myself, do I even want to be a business owner? That's a whole other can of worms, as you guys know, to be successful at that. So that's kind of where I would look if they are struggling, because it is hard when you first start out health coaching. If you just have this blank slate of, all right, got to go find clients, that can be difficult.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, but that's the number one question we get is, hey, okay, I'm graduated now. Where do I find clients? It's like, oh, go to the client store. They're all there on the shelf.
Well, and I don't think the world is ready for health coaching just yet. We're getting there, and we've made a ton of progress, even in the last decade since I've done it. But that's not a thing. If my back is sore, I know I'm going to go to a massage therapist or a chiropractor. I just know that. If I'm just kind of not feeling great, or I know my sleep is a little off, or my nutrition's not really where it should be, I might go to the gym. I might maybe tell my doctor about it, but they don't know. Oh, I go to a health coach.
Exactly.
But soon, I think that's going to keep changing.
Oh my gosh, I think so too. Well, we're hanging our hats on it pretty much.
Yeah.
I did like one thing that you said a second ago, which was, you yourself were born with an entrepreneurial spirit. And that's a question that we probably ask everybody who comes on this podcast that is entrepreneurial. It's like, were you born that way, or did you have to, curate it somehow? But one thing that you just said is, not everybody wants to start a business. And I think that's pretty important to put out there. I was thinking as you were telling your story, yes, you need to have some understanding, hopefully, of some methodology or science or some kind of approach that works for people. Yes, you need to know how to coach. And then it was like, in my head, I was thinking, and you should have at least an appetite to want to build something that is yours. But that's actually not true. You could go get a job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, and it's not for everyone. Being a health coach isn't for everyone. They might get into it and realize, I think I'd rather be a physical trainer coach, or which, I mean, it's all still kind of in the realm, or a massage therapist, or something else in the wellness field. But for entrepreneurship, it's just not the best fit for everyone. That's why probably so many businesses don't survive after the first year.
Well, I think, well, at least based on my role here at the school that, Erin and I work for and have helped grow over the last, 6 years now, Erin. I think everybody loves the idea of owning their own business, loves the idea of being an entrepreneur. So I do think that there's an appetite for it, but there's a disconnect on really understanding what it takes and whether they're willing to do the work to get it done. Right.
Yes.
And here's the other thing, a willingness to invest in what you need to invest in to be good at it. There's that other side of this, right? Because you got, I don't know about you, but when I first started, I started around when you did. There were like 3 programs to choose from back then, right? Now there's dozens. I feel like every 5 minutes I'm trying to keep up with who just launched a new course, right? And so this is a good thing. And right, I'm thinking, this is the writing on the wall for your point that you just said, like, we're not quite there. Like, people don't necessarily know what a health coach does, but we're getting closer and the need is there. All of this stuff, like, we're like right there on the cusp. But from program to program, there's really, I don't think you're going to get 100% of everything you need to be successful in one program. Some are going to be,
Yeah.
broader and encompass more than some others. But I think you're going to have to accept the fact that, first of all, you need to learn how to be a coach, right? You have to have the knowledge to do all that. You've got at least some rudimentary knowledge around building a business. But beyond that, you're going to need to have to invest something else. It might not necessarily be a lot of money. It could just be a lot of time, but there needs to be a willingness to invest in what you need to be successful. Would you mind speaking a little bit to maybe some examples of that in your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a few years into my journey, so I had the desire, so I know that that kept me going for a while. I think if someone is kind of on the fence of, they go, oh, well, this is hard. I don't want to do that anymore. And maybe they'll just continue coaching friends or, still have health coaching as part of their life, but maybe not have a business for it. But a few years in, I knew to get to the next level, I needed some help with that. And so I actually went out looking for a business coach. And this was, again, still kind of before they were on every corner of the internet. Mine wasn't even an online thing. So I found a really great business coach who had done physical location type things before. I felt like it was very real, tactical business information, really nothing to do with the online space. And I want to say this was probably like from about 2013 to maybe 2017 or 18, I worked with him. And then just things evolved. And I still to this day always have a coach or a program that I'm involved in. And now that I've up-leveled my business so much, that cost and that investment is much higher than it was 8 to 10 years ago. And I'm okay with that because I've seen the results come from it every single time. So, and especially when we're in the coaching world, we have to be open to the rest of the coaching. Of course, if we want to be successful, there's going to need to be business coaching there, in my opinion. And that has been instrumental in my business. So always some sort of program or mastermind. You could do a peer-led mastermind, so that might not be, a large investment, but it is going to be an investment of time or money. Right. So you have to pick one or both sometimes, but that's the only way you'll make it to the next level if that's the goal.
Can you speak a little bit to how the business coaches and masterminds you've invested in throughout your career trajectory, how the focus maybe shifts as you get into a different point on your continuum?
Yeah. So my first coach, it was, like I said, much more tactical. That was with a group called Action Coach. I think they're all over the world. And it was very much helping me with those foundations of business. I knew enough to get going, but now, we're going to make a dashboard and track our KPIs and learning what is KPI, different things like that. And it really, to me, felt like that was kind of my business school. So, and I needed that for a number of years as I would open another location. That comes with all kinds of other challenges and different things you have to work through. But then once I felt like, okay, we've really got this going, and I think it's good to outgrow your coach, and the coach would agree because they've done a great job and now have the success story. I then realized around the time that I was done working with that coach is about the time that my husband came on board full time with my company. So he and I own it together, both full time in the company. And that's when we went out looking for something that the two of us could do together. So I found another coach that we worked with for probably about a year. And we worked a lot on more of the website stuff and technical things and just, this whole world that we weren't really exposed to before. And then now I'm in a group of 7 and 8 figure women in business that was just not a group I had ever thought of years ago or knew that was out there. And that now is more for the camaraderie, because you don't come across those women a lot, but also the mindset. Right. So that's where I'm at now. What is it like to be, I have a seven figure business, but how do I now get to the 8 figure business side? But I think you need to find a coach who's just a little bit ahead of you. Right. And not, if you're just starting out as a health coach today, you don't need to go probably not get that, 8 figure mindset business coach, right? You need to figure out what are KPIs. Well, what do I need? What do I have a referral system in place? Are all my systems there? What is my foundation? look like, and then you just keep growing and building upon that.
Wow.
So I heard you mention more than one location. You originally started with a brick and mortar,
Mhm.
right? Would you mind? Because again, that's another thing that comes up. Hey, do I need to go get an office? All this other stuff. Can you tell us a little bit more about, your, I guess, business journey and how it's evolved?
Yeah. So, like I said, I started in 2011, and that was what with one location. However, I rented space where I was already working in a chiropractic office.
Mhm.
So, really, it just kind of fell into place there. So, if I was just starting today, I mean, now we have the internet to do it all, I probably wouldn't have a location. Um, Knowing where we're at now, I definitely like having all of the locations, but I think you could definitely figure out if this is going to be a good fit for you. Do I like it? Or even meeting at coffee shops, something like that.
Mhm.
But if it is something, because we have products as well, so we have the whole inventory component as part of the business. So we do need locations for that, and then we have a warehouse as well where we ship everything out of. But kind of the evolution was starting in 2011 with the one, just renting a room. And then in 2013, I moved it had outgrown the chiropractic office into my own space. But again, I was just renting kind of a medical office
Mhm.
suite in a building. So it doesn't have to be, a big grandiose thing where you're going to do all the tenant improvements and a whole build out. I had to grow my way there. And that worked out great because then, we never got into debt with the business, never bit off more than I could chew, but just enough to keep striving to keep growing.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until I think it was 2014 or 15, is when I rented the first actual space. We do really well in a strip mall next to, Starbucks, the cell phone store, that type of
Mhm.
place. And so I was years into my business and already had a proven successful model before I really, signed my life away on that lease of, wow, this is going to be a big deal. Oh my goodness. And then from there, it was only a few years that we added all the rest of the locations. But I think it's totally fine to baby step your way there.
Wow.
Yes, thank
I,
you.
I'm amazed at how methodical you have been about all this. It's really, I'm envious, actually. I guess that's because you had this sort of, since you were a kid, you had business on your mind in a sense. Um,
Hmm.
I'm super curious, just what goes on in your brick and mortar locations? Like, so is it nutritional counseling, coaching sessions? Is there just products? Are there
Hmm.
work? Like what goes on? People go in there, they just
Yeah,
walk in, or how does it
yeah,
work?
they can, which is why we wanted that more of that space. Because when we were kind of tucked away in that medical professional building, you had to know you were going there, right? And
Mhm.
so we were hugely referral based and still are, because of course, if you lose weight, your friend's going to ask, and then you can get a great referral out of that. So really, we haven't done much, if any, marketing because it's such a referral driven business. But when we moved into those physical locations, that definitely helps people um, see it and helped build the brand. And that's why adding more locations was, I don't want to say easier because it's never easy to do that, but just it really, we have a lot of brand trust now, I
Mhm.
would say. But as far as how does the appointments go, so a client would come into the office, and now that we do have those type of locations, they will literally walk in. Someone would, see our sign. It's bright green. We're very obviously wellness oriented. It's very inviting, and they might just walk in, and this happens all the time. What is this place?
Mhm.
This looks inviting. I wanted to come in.
Yeah.
And the tagline, says weight loss and wellness center. So they might already have the desire to lose weight. But otherwise, typically it would be an appointment. Most people have an appointment and they've really thought about it. Is this what I want to do to lose weight? Or my friend told me I have to research it. And then they would come in for their appointment. But yes, they meet with their health coach. It's one-on-one. So we don't do anything group style. So it's very private. It's a very personal thing to lose weight. We deal with clients that have more significant amount of weight to lose, typically a BMI of 30 or above. So they're losing, I would say our average clients are losing from about 50 to 80 pounds. Definitely have many, many that have lost over 100, 200 pounds. But this is going to be a personal journey, and they're going to have that relationship with their client for a long time because it's not going to
Mm-hmm.
happen overnight, and there's going to be a lot of mindset things that are going to go on with them throughout this journey. So it's not just, come in, get your product, go home, you magically lost weight. They need that
Mhm.
accountability. So they come in every single week, one-on-one with their coach. And that is very much a coaching session. They're doing a lot of education on the science of how the body loses fat, burns fat, and what they can eat that's going to do best for their body. Um, and what I really love about it is the clients don't know that they needed all of that. They
Right.
just came in because they saw the sign, weight loss. My friend lost weight. They don't really realize until they come in that coaching was the secret sauce to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yes, we have products, we have food and supplements that they're going to do temporarily while they're losing weight, but the whole goal is to get them back to 100% whole foods. But this is the client that if you met, at the coffee shop because you're into a health coaching appointment with them and said, okay, we're going to eat kale every day, and then we're going to do quinoa, and then you're going to do this spirulina. They're like, wow, whoa, like I just went to McDonald's for breakfast and now we're at the coffee shop and I'm eating a muffin. Like, no,
Mhm.
this is not going to work for me. So that's why our program works so well, because we're really meeting them where they're at to then teach them. Now they're at the maintenance side of the program. They've lost the 50, 80, 100 pounds, and they're going, yeah, tell me more about that quinoa. How are we going to make it? And then I added these spices. So it's really such a great way to get them there so that it's so sustainable in weight loss. But yeah, it's totally food, nutrition, and coaching based.
Mhm.
We do have a fit program if they do want to exercise, but that's really not a huge part of the program at all. We have a lot of people too that will get referred by their orthopedic surgeon. So maybe they need a new hip, a new knee. If they walked in and we said, and now we're going to exercise, they'd say,
Mhm.
no way. I can barely take a walk right now. So it's really just about getting that weight off and then continuing it for life, because we do coaching for life because it's so crucial and so vital for them to maintain it. And now they're going to
Mhm.
incorporate physical activity, whether it's hiking or actually, hard workouts at the gym or whatever's important to them that can be sustainable.
Yeah. I mean, depending on where they are in their journey, various aspects of their wellness journey are going to, it's like you kind of have to focus on one area in order for you to even create the bandwidth to focus on another area. It's kind of, where should we start first? And, you know, I love how you sort of shared a little bit about your early days on what do you mean? I just told you what to do. Why aren't you doing it? This is so common. It's so common, particularly in the fitness space, right? Like fitness
Mhm.
professionals that are trying to give someone a meal plan and like, I don't get it. I told you what to eat. I don't understand why this is so hard. And another comment I get from folks is, why are they going to pay me when all they really need to do is go read, insert whatever book that changed their life, right?
Yeah.
This happens a lot at our school because our founder, Mark Sisson, has written multiple books. He's got decades worth of content out there, people that have followed him for years and years that are like, why would somebody need me when all I need to do is tell them what book to go buy and boom, problem solved. I'm like, I wish it was that easy. And Mark Sisson would be the first one to tell you everything I need to tell you to be successful, I can fit on the front and back of like a piece of paper. But
Hmm.
I've written, how many books? And look at how many books are out on the shelves, and we still have an obesity problem. So it's not information, folks. And I just love that you said that. It's about the art and science of coaching and the relationship that you can build with your client that over time allows them to think for themselves,
Hmm.
connect the dots, and kind of hang on to this for a lifetime. Now, I heard you say that many of your clients are with you for life. Do you have some sort of like a maintenance program or like a 2.0? How does that work?
Yeah. So when they start the program, it's a three-stage program. So stage one, so it we have a second company actually
Mhm.
called Shift Set Go, and that provides the actual program that we do along with all of our food, nutrition, and supplements. So Shift is the weight loss stage. That's when they come in once a week. They're meeting with their coach. They're hopping on our body composition, and they're really in it, right? They're going to be doing that for 6 weeks, 6 months, 2 years. It
Okay.
just depends on their health and weight loss goals. And it's not always tied to weight, right? They don't walk in and say, I have to lose 50 pounds. We're looking at their entire body composition. And maybe it's a healthy visceral fat score or healthy body fat percentage or, whatever is important to them. Or if their physician sent them because, again, maybe they needed that knee replacement or hip replacement. So once they get where they're going. Then we transition them into our second stage, which is called set. So we're really setting everything. Our program works really well for those that are type 2 diabetic. It really helps to reverse somewhat. I really can't say reverse,
Right.
but help even out people that are insulin resistant. So then we're kind of setting that now. So let's get the insulin to respond properly in the body, and that's just a few week time frame where we're taking out all of our food to do whole foods. Because again, now they're more open minded to say, I've been cooking this healthy dinner for again 6 weeks, 6 months, a few years, and then we're going to incorporate lunch, take out our easy to go meal that they were doing. Now they're doing the healthy lunch, and they are saying, okay, this kale salad is great. And they thought, I never would have said that before, right? So they're still having the coaching. And then a few weeks later, now they're in maintenance, which is what we call the go stage. And that's where we're really going to start to incorporate more physical activity. They're completely on whole foods now, but that's where they still need a lot of coaching because they were doing such a easy program of our set with all of our foods ready to go. So we don't just assume that they're going to transition in a few weeks. Now they're on all whole foods, which is totally brand new to them. And so we don't just say, okay, goodbye, best of luck. So they continue coming in at least twice a month for that first year so that we can really make sure that their weight loss is locked in, because that first year is so crucial. Those fat cells are a little sponge. And we always tell our clients, the minute you walk out our door, you look to your right, your left, in front of you, it's fast food, sugar, fast food, sugar. I mean, that is literally true for all of our locations. You know, we're right next door to fast food places, to the froyo place, to the ice cream place. So, I mean, real life is tempting. So they're going to have that everywhere. So they need that coaching. For at least that first year. And then we encourage them to keep coming in after that once a month, just for a quick accountability check-in. How is it going? We always set everyone a tune-up number, or again, if it's their body fat percent, visceral fat, just to have a little check-in, because again, life is very tempting. Sugar is addictive. It's everywhere. It was put out everywhere for a reason. So we have to be that helper for our client and our own selves to help them when kind of the real world sneaks in more, and they just have gotten a little out of control with sugar and things like that again. So yes, it's very much for life, because this isn't a quick one and done thing. That would be, just another yo-yo diet out there that's not going to work. It has to be sustainable.
Yeah. It's a really caring approach. That's kind of what it feels like. And I was thinking when Laura was kind of queuing up this question, sometimes in the nutrition coaching space, not sometimes, often, you'll hear coaches talking amongst themselves saying, well, if your client is doing everything right and not losing weight, it's because they're lying about compliance. And that language really upsets me, because it's like the client is not lying to you about their compliance. There's a confusion about their compliance, or there's a sheepishness about their willpower, or whatever it is. So we can be really quick to dismiss the weight loss client. And I get pretty upset about that, because I find the vulnerability of fat loss clients, especially those who have a lot of fat to lose, we need to really approach them with a caring hand. I really believe that. So I'm grateful that you're doing it in that way. But I do want to talk about compliance in one way, just because I kind of work in the same space that you do on a much smaller scale. And I tell my clients, we could be at this for years. What if it took 2 years to achieve your fat loss goal? And more often than not, I hear my clients say, well, I guess that would be okay, but I'd like it to be fast. And it's that I want it faster thing that I'm working with for most of our coaching relationship. Do you get that with your clients too? I think it's a natural part of diet culture. I'm certainly not putting this on the client. I think diet culture trained them that it should be 1 to 2 pounds per week, and if you do everything right. And but do you get that from your clientele sometimes, and how do you work with them through that?
Yes, and we have a client support group. So they will then see sometimes, well, this client is 6 weeks in and 25 pounds down, and I'm not. But you're different. Everyone's metabolism is a little bit different. So, definitely setting the expectation up front of how it's going to be. But as far as compliance, we actually have I like all the words that end in shun. For our coaches, we have a quick mental checklist. So it could be deviation. I hate to say the word quote cheat, right? So they could be deviating. It could be unintentional. So our clients do have to do a food journal, whether it's on our app or paper journal. because maybe they didn't realize that, oh, this salad that you bought at, whatever restaurant, actually they make it with a lot of sugar, or whatever is
Mhm.
happening there. So again, it's back to that education piece. It could be constipation, menstruation. We say frustration, aka stress, so if their cortisol is high. Hydration. So we have this whole little checklist that we run through.
Inflammation. That's another one I
Inflammation,
hear from
yeah, all the
people.
shuns, right?
Yeah.
Because there could be so much more going on. But I think one thing, because our program is so successful, they are losing a pretty substantial amount of weight, and they're losing fat. So we're not just hopping on, the bathroom scale. They're getting that full read of their body composition. So again, menstruation. Maybe it was a female client and it was her cycle, and so on that first glance number, maybe she didn't lose anything. So we say, well, we have to look kind of behind the scenes, what's going on in your body. And sure enough, she lost 2, 3 pounds of fat, but is retaining 2, 3 pounds of water weight because it's her cycle. So it's really nice for a coach to be able to have that piece of it to keep encouraging, right? Because if the client was just at home and did that, they'd go, well, it's not working, I quit, on to
Yeah.
the next, right?
What are you using to measure body
Um,
composition?
we use a scale at all of our offices called SECA, SECA. It's very similar to an InBody. We used to use one called Tanita. That's really awesome. They have a good kind of starter scale, if you will, for I think just a few hundred. I mean, our scales get very pricey, but they're also professional grade. I mean, they're getting used a lot, so
Yeah.
they need to be that way. And
Mhm.
this one in particular syncs up with all of our locations. So, because sometimes people go to different locations, maybe they
Mhm.
work down south, but they live up north. But also, it syncs with all of our technology and our app and our dashboard that all of our coaches use, so they could see everything in a one stop shop.
So
Mhm.
would you mind telling me, so you, like in the beginning stages, you're actually providing them with food. Do you mind
Yes.
telling, is that, I mean, do you have another side of your business that creates these meals? Are you outsourcing that and white labeling it? Like, and the supplements and things that you're using? Could you
Hmm.
mind giving us a glimpse as to kind of what it takes to get that kind of like just inventory and additional products and services?
Yes, that's a beast. So
Yeah, I bet.
we only did that because we did have so many locations to substantiate it. Because when you go out to build that type of brand, and so that's what I was saying, that's our other company, and it has a
Hmm.
different name. And we did that intentionally because we have a warehouse for that, so that was a whole other learning curve. So again, and this is because I have a high drive and desire to build a bigger business, but that would not be for everyone for sure. I mean, it's a lot dealing with a warehouse and inventory, especially inventory that can expire.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of moving pieces there. But we set out to do it under this different name so that other wellness centers, we have some physicians, some naturopaths, chiropractors, health coaches that offer it in their clinics across the country. So that's kind of the whole wholesale side of our
Yeah.
business, and then our physical locations are the retail side of the business. But setting out to do it is a long process. If anyone's doing it, I actually was talking to a gal the other day. I think she's kind of more of like an influencer, more in the beauty world, and wants to do a food products. And I said, okay, plan at least 9 months from today, at least until you have it in your hand. You're finished good. I mean, you're gonna have
Mhm.
to go through product design as far as labeling goes, formula design. You have to work with food scientists to figure out, what do you want, and maybe her, nutrition and fact panel is going to look a certain way. So doing all of that for us, we definitely have some that are white labeled, but a lot that are our custom recipes, and it's a long process that took us about pretty much a 9 months to a year to have
Mhm.
that ready to go. And that we've only actually been doing for about 2 years now. So our business kind of had to be at a certain level before these manufacturers are even going to take your phone calls,
Right.
because the minimums are just gigantic. And you think, okay,
Mhm.
well, even if I could afford that, is it all going to arrive and then expire because I can't sell it all? So that's when forecasting comes into play, and it's just an entirely different business
Yeah.
altogether. There are some things that like a health coach could do. Some companies that have really great supplements that you could white label. If you were just doing it for yourself, minimums would be your big deal.
Mm-hmm.
what are their minimums that you would do. And there are some out there that have pretty low, like under 100 units for supplements. So if you think, okay, I have 50 clients, these don't expire for 2 years, I could sell them a multi every 3 months and be fine. So it would just really depend, but you'd have to really go through those numbers to see,
Yeah.
is it worth it? And again, having the physical location helps because they're physically going to walk in and shop the shelves and find what they're after. Versus being online. I mean, yes, of course, we have a website you can get it off of, but some products might just go forgotten because they didn't see them on the website. But yeah, it's a lot going on with all the products for sure.
So it's quite an interesting empire that you've built, and it's mostly physical products in the sense of like food products and brick and mortar stores. I would love to know how this shook out for you during the pandemic.
Oh yes, having physical locations during a pandemic is not advisable. It's funny because in December of 19, we actually signed a lease for our sixth location. And we're all excited. Yeah, here's another location. We'll probably do a few more in 2020. This is so fantastic. In January of 2020, we were just at like step one of how do we also go virtual. So it was definitely in our mind, thinking, okay, by the end of this year, we'll do virtual and we'll build out the website. And it kind of a back burner project, but still kind of looking at it like this will be a great kind of addition to the business and much more focused on the physical locations. And the plan was to open it April 1st of 2020.
Oh,
So that
geez.
didn't happen. That was so stressful. So the end of March, obviously, like everyone else, we had to close all of our locations. Also, construction had to stop on that location, which is just you're bleeding money at that point
Mm-hmm.
because you've already signed your lease, you're already locked into this. But yeah, we had to close all the other five. We also do red light therapy at all of our offices. And so that's a 100% in-person thing, right? You can't do that virtual at all. So that had to completely stop. So we had to, within about a 2-day thing, I think we got a notice on Monday that by Wednesday, everything shut down, and try and put all of our coaches virtual who are in-person employees. So getting everyone the technology they need because I didn't want them to have to use their own phones. And our clients, they go to the clinic to meet with their coach. They don't have their personal cell or anything like that. So figuring out all the logistics side of it, I mean, that was just quite a mess. And then let alone teaching all of our coaches who many of them are not really into technology. They'd never used Zoom before, no desire to use Zoom. So having to set them all up on that in, a 2-day stretch was just crazy and expensive. And then having to figure out how are we going to get all the product to all the clients. So having to figure out, and our inventory system just wasn't set up for this at the time. Okay, let the client order it. They were literally calling in to do their order. We didn't have online ordering yet, emailing it in, running their credit cards by hand in the office, packing it up for curbside. Luckily, we did have the warehouse so we could do some shipping because we were already wholesale shipping. So that
Mm-hmm.
was a huge blessing that we already had that. And just having to get our online shop up and running within less than a week. So my husband does
Nice.
all the tech. We definitely have developers and stuff too, but kind of this is the most urgent project. We need to do this right now. So what we had planned to take the entire year to do, we did in a week. Not done well. It wasn't the final product that we wanted. But what's good looking at it now is that virtual coaching has stayed part of our business. One of our local employees is actually a full-time virtual coach for us now. And because the demand is there, a lot of people
Yeah.
wanted to come back to the clinic, but then we were able to say, oh, well, this client had moved to this state years ago. Now they can come back and do it virtually because they had wanted to and they couldn't find anything like us in their area. And we have more virtual coaches who are independent contractors for us, helping their clients with the program. So really, it turned out really well in the end, but going through it was tough for
Oh my
sure. I
gosh.
mean,
Yeah.
that's a lot of pivoting, as the word of 2020 was, changing everything. So
That's insane.
Yeah.
mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. That sounds like madness to me.
It
But
was.
hey, but you know what? You had the fortitude and the resources to pivot and do what you needed to do. And I think for most
Yeah.
people, it's realizing rather than throwing in the towel and saying we're all screwed, right? What resources can you leverage to continue to take one step forward and two steps forward and moving?
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that story. Because,
Yeah. And I will say with the resources, so many businesses are running sale to sale, paycheck to paycheck, their version of paycheck to paycheck. So we did have some business savings, and felt like we were running a really responsible business. But even then we said, okay, April 1st, whatever it was, print out all the statements. What are we spending that we really don't need to? Like we have to go to the bare minimum, and we cut out a ton. We've brought some back because it is still, maybe it's not vital, but customer service is a huge value of ours. So maybe we want that for our clients, whatever it may be. But really getting really discerning with everything is this a need? Is this a want? So we did have a little of those resources there. We also had the forgiveness of the world in that moment, right? And I don't think anyone was looking, if they were trying, we're like, okay, bravo, good job, that business is trying. We're going to keep supporting them. So we wouldn't have been able to do something like that had it not been just this collective wellness together, and we're supporting you. Had we said, hey, we're virtual now, all of a sudden clients would have said, no, bye. You guys are a mess. Where's the order? I have to call in to place it. That's not going to work. So, I think a lot of businesses had that forgiveness available to them during that time. It's a year later now, and I don't like seeing the COVID excuse at businesses anymore. So it's like, okay, come on.
I
like
can
with
relate to
shipping and
that.
things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I own a gym. I recently moved, but at the time I was living in Illinois. I was hell bent on moving, pandemic or no pandemic, but we do own a gym, and we got shut down too.
Yes.
And I will tell you, the loyalty of our membership, we only had like 3 or 4 people cancel.
Wow.
We lent out all of our equipment. So every single member was able to take something home. So they had something to use. We continued to do programming that people could do at home. We ran Zoom classes, which if you've ever tried to do a CrossFit class via Zoom, it's not the same, but I'm telling you, they stuck it out with us. And there were people that were just paying because they wanted to see us still standing at the end of this. So there's a lot to be said for building community and loyalty among your client base to be able to withstand tough times. It's huge. So I that really, like, I can relate to that. And I think there are a lot of people that can relate to that. And those of you that aren't thinking through how to cultivate that real, like, high touch, that customer service, that sense of like community and connectedness, start thinking about it now.
Vital.
Yeah.
Well, I at risk of sounding like a broken record. I mean, on one hand, Emily, you have like good business acumen. That's just something that is inherent to you. On smaller scales, where most of us are playing at this point, not to play small, but that's where we're at right now. What can help curate this loyalty, this following, you touched on it earlier, is great coaching.
Right.
Like that's what we can all do, right? That's what every practicing coach can do, is shore up their coaching skills. So you're actually making transformational change for people, so they can't stop talking about you. They can't wait to work with you.
Yeah, that's 100%. And continuing education is huge with us too. So our coaches have to go through continuing education. We have a new module every month that they have to do, always just kind of evolving as a business. But even just that, having stellar coaching, but also having something anyone can do, whether you're a coach and you coach from home, 5 clients, you can have incredible customer service. You can send them a handwritten note. You can shoot them over a recipe because it was something you were talking about 2 months ago. And these are all things that our coaches do still to this day. That's how we build our business, but it is still so important to us that the clients are treated like family. We want to be the place that you would refer somebody to. And if they're like, oh yeah, it was fine, I lost my 50 pounds and okay. But if they say, oh no, you have to go see Coach so-and-so, she helped me with this, and they just have this bond really with their coach. But it's because of those two things together. You could, like you said, play smaller, play big, it doesn't matter. It'll be so much more impactful if you're doing the customer service and stellar coaching together.
Oh my gosh. And I think this is something that's very easy to lose in a strictly online business. And I see a lot of businesses that They're 100% online. They're almost all digital. There's almost no personal touch. Everything's group based. Like one example of a group that I think that's done really well with this is Keto Gains, Erin, right? Like they're a group based program. They run these large boot camps with hundreds of people. But these people are loyal, and they re-up boot camp over boot camp. They refer people in because Tyler and Luis are in that Facebook page. They are addressing each comment personally. So there's a way, if you're not if brick and mortar isn't in the cards for you and you really want to do all this online, you still have to be personally connected here somehow.
Yeah.
Whether it's you doing it or coaches that are working for you. Tell us about that. You did say that you've got a way health coaches can actually work with you. People that they've got their certificate, they're certified health coaches. Do you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, now that we're virtual, so now that we have that option and are offering our program to anybody in the United States, so the coach technically could live anywhere, but we ship to the United States. So if a coach is interested in adding this into kind of their coaching suite of different tools that they have, they can actually go to our website. It's idealwellness.com, and there's a little spot on there that says become a virtual coach, and they can go through and see if our program aligns with them, if it would be a good fit for some of their clients. Maybe they have some that come to them for issue 1, 2, and 3, but really they say, okay, we got to take care of the extra 50, 80 pounds first. This might be a great way that they could help their client with that, and then continuing their coaching into, sleep or anxiety or whatever that they're working with them on. So they can actually become a virtual coach of ours, and it's an independent contractor position. So they could get one client, 100 clients, whatever they would like to do. And they do the coaching, we do everything else. So we handle the orders, we handle the inventory, the shipping from our warehouse, all of the technology. They just show up usually on Zoom and have their coaching calls and get great results out of their clients, and then we take it from there for them. So it's been a really great opportunity for coaches that were already coaching and just wanted to have one more tool available to them. And some make it their full-time thing, but some just have a few clients here and there because it's a good fit for those specific clients.
So these coaches come to you already certified by some school, and then is your program an additional certification they take?
Yes. So ours is a certification they take. It's pretty quick. It's they're able to, we have coaching of our program 101 and 102, and then of course they get the continuing education after that, all those modules. But you could do 101 in a week and 102 in a week. It's really just to understand the science of our program, and how they're going to coach it with their clients, that they're going to eat this and here's what this product is. So it's very much the technical training of it, but it works really well. You don't have to be a coach coming in to be a coach for us, because again, we'll do our certification with you. But man, health coaches, this is just so phenomenal for. I mean, we definitely have coaches that are coaches out of their own desire because they've experienced it. They've been our client, they've lost 100 pounds, and now they want to help others, or maybe they were a former teacher or a nurse, something like that. But health coaches, it's a phenomenal option for them to have for their clients, for sure.
Yeah. So, and do you teach the art and science of coaching at all, or how do you vet that your coaches are really nailing the coaching relationship?
Yes. So we have an actual follow-up process. So we check in with the clients to make sure, again, that customer service piece, to make sure, is because with virtual, it's so different than in person. In person, I mean, like I said, with the continuing education, we have a general manager. So she's making sure, how is this coach doing? How is this coach doing? Are they providing it the way that it needs to be with our program, and providing this client with everything that is unique to our brand? So, it is a little different with virtual. We don't know what's maybe going on, once they've kind of taken it from there. But as far as kind of vetting them ahead of time, we do have a process they go through. So they don't just, say, okay, I'm a coach now, away we go. They have to actually do the, I don't want to call it an interview, but just kind of a call with our virtual coach director, see if it's going to be a good fit, make sure they understand the program. And then there's that whole training process. They're doing a lot of sample sessions with our trainer on Zoom. recorded, so they can go back, give feedback, and figure, okay, well, if the client was saying this to you, here's maybe more what we would say, kind of those role play type situations. And so then there's a lot more training. It doesn't stop once they're certified, right? That's just kind of, okay, now step one, now let's really
Yeah.
look at this whole thing. So yeah, definitely a good for the continuing education piece. There's the science side of it, but then also, like you said, kind of that art and science of actual coaching, and different coaching methodologies that we'll look into. And we have a lot of resources for our coaching, because just being an amazing coach is so crucial.
It really is. It really...
And I can see this being like the answer to some coaches' prayers that, something I heard you said early in this podcast, which was be honest with yourself. And there's a lot of people that have gone down the entrepreneurial path and just sort of realized it's not for them, or at least not yet. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of pivoting into how can I work with somebody else? This might be kind of the best of both worlds, where you're an independent contractor. So you do still technically own your own business.
Mm-hmm.
Right, folks listening, and independent contractors, you get a 1099 from this company. You're not a W-2'd employee. So you're still technically self-employed. You can still have your own 401k plan, or, not a 401k, would be a different type of retirement plan, but you are still technically owning your own business, but you're not having to do all the parts of the business that you don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You are an independent coach. You are representing this other company and using their program and following their protocol, but they're doing all the heavy lifting and all the stuff that you don't want to do. Because that's one of the things that I think some folks that have become a health coach and went out and sought a job, and then were left a little disappointed because they didn't have the autonomy they wanted to coach the way they wanted to coach. They have to stick to the program of the person that's hired them. Well, look, you're going to have to give up something, right? If you don't want the side of all the other stuff you don't want to do in the business, then you're going to have to be willing to work with the organization that you're working with. And so this is where I think, to your point, it's important to have this conversation with you guys. And does this resonate with me? And is this kind of what I'm looking to do? And to your point, it doesn't necessarily have to be your entire business, right? You can have
absolutely
a different side of what you're doing in your own kind of private clients that are in part of a different program. But for clients where this specific type of program is really what they need, because it sounds to me like the very beginning, everything is literally done for the client. Like having to make decisions about what to eat when is not a part of the equation. And that if this is done for you. And there are people that they kind of need that right now. I get it from clients. I just need you to tell me what to eat. My program doesn't do that. I'm like, I'm not your coach. That's not my program. You need to work with somebody else. Right. But it does sound to me that at some point in the coaching relationship, you're weaning them off of I'm making the decisions for you. We're going to teach you how to now make decisions for yourself. And we're going to do this one step at a time so that you're not overwhelmed. So,
and a good fit, if they had maybe some potential clients that they had spoken with in the past, or as it comes up in the future, that they're not ready for that big step of, I'm going to meet with you for an hour every week. And again, I always go back to my kale and quinoa example. They say, you are speaking another language. This doesn't resonate with me. This might be that bridge that they need to start. The coach can coach our program with them for maybe 3 months, 6 months, and that client now has lost 30, 50 pounds, wherever they're at. And then they can now say, okay, let's talk about these recipes. And really it bridged them into the coaching relationship that they might have walked away from before and thought that that's not for me. So it's nice to be able to have a product and something that's just very done for you to help people get their results quickly right away, to then kind of open the door to everything else that coaching has to offer that we know is going to be great for the client, but they don't know it yet. So now they've learned, oh my gosh, coaching is amazing. I had no idea I needed that.
Right. I think my favorite takeaway, or what I'm kind of summarizing this conversation up in one word, the word is relationship.
Yeah.
And this is a word I use a lot when I teach coaching. Because it's not a program, although it is, and it's not a diet, although whatever it might be. It's not a workout plan, although it might be, but it's really a relationship. It's really more all-encompassing. I think this is going to become, I think 2021 or maybe next year, who knows, will be the year of the relationship. I'm just going to call it now, because we've been so isolated.
Yeah.
And whether those relationships happen in person, I do think there will be a flooding back to in-person events and relationships and stores and shops. Like I think maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I'm dying for that because we're still locked down where I live. But also, even if you're cultivating this online, there are ways to make the online relationship a really connected experience. I think that goes back to kind of what Laura's point was earlier. She was saying, a lot of coaches are flying online and scaling to groups and do-it-yourself programs, which sure, but let's not discount the power of the relationship, which I think people are hungry for right now.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I pick a word every year. I might pick that next year for my word.
It's going to be Erin's new necklace, relationship.
Yes.
She's going to. Erin's been wearing melatonin around her neck. It's like her favorite, her favorite hormone. So maybe it'll be maybe it'll be a relationship now. I love it. Awesome. Yeah, okay, so where can people find you? I wrote it down on my little notebook, but some people are probably driving or taking a run right now. Where can people find you to find out more about what you're doing, follow you, potentially reach out and see if this program is something of interest to them too?
Yeah, they can go to our website, idealwellness.com. That's where you can learn about becoming a virtual coach. If you're interested in providing it like physically in your office, maybe you're a health coach in a physical setting, or if you're interested just in the program, maybe for yourself. And then on Instagram and Facebook, it's at Ideal Wellness WA, like for Washington, because we're here in Washington State. Or I'm on Instagram at Emily Countryman.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you both for having me.
Gosh, what an amazing journey,
Thank you.
I think a lot of people, when they think about, have these high aspirations of what they really like to do. And it can be very humbling, I think, when people start down this path and realize how hard it is. So kudos to you for building this empire and even more so giving other coaches a platform to do what they love and feel inspired by it.
Yeah, that's where I feel now. I used to coach, and now I think I can have a better impact helping more coaches coach, because my skill set is definitely more building the business, not coaching. And we just wouldn't have gotten where we were without me stepping out and instead of working in the business on it. But just to be able to bring it to so many more coaches, because we have a long road ahead of us. 70% of America is overweight or obese. So we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, big time. My favorite takeaway was that you have built something that's really impactful and important and lucrative, truly. Let's call a spade, because you were methodical and resilient, and you have this business acumen. And whether or not we're all born with it like you were, I think it's a muscle that can be trained. And that's my takeaway. I'm going to start training that muscle a bit more.
Yeah. It can be coached, right?
Yes, flex it.
I love it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emily. This has been so great.
This podcast was brought to you by Primal Health Coach Institute. To learn more about how to become a successful health coach, get in touch with us by visiting primalhealthcoach.com/call. Or if you're already a successful health coach, practitioner, influencer, or thought leader with a thriving business and an interesting story, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us at hello@primalhealthcoach.com and let us know why we need to interview you for Health Coach Radio. Thanks for listening.
Well, if you've been listening at Health Coach Radio, you'll know that we're all about raising the voices of practicing health, fitness, and nutrition coaches, but most importantly, helping to further legitimize this exploding industry. Erin and I have disclosed often that we're on the faculty of the Primal Health Coach Institute, founded by none other than the health and wellness legend, Mark Sisson. And we've interviewed dozens of guests from just about every different health coaching program you can think of, and who practice in just about any conceivable way you can think of. But our allegiance is to the health coaching industry in its totality, first and foremost. It's our desire to continuously and unapologetically lift and promote this industry that nudged us to create this podcast for you in the first place. It's this same yearning that encouraged us to take the educational offering at our health coaching school to the next level. We are so proud to offer the Primal Health Coach Level 2 certification course, which when combined with our primary course, the Primal Health Coach Certification course, not only satisfies the educational requirements to sit for the board exam, but is specifically designed to teach advanced coaching mastery. You will work closely with a small class of peers through this 12-week, very intensive, live online classroom experience to learn how to execute a coaching relationship that is truly transformational. You'll learn and practice how to ask powerful questions, what it means to hold space for your clients, but most importantly, how to actually do it. You'll learn about the craft of motivational interviewing and the nuances of habit change, goal setting, and accountability, and how to nurture your client's own inner knowing, their intuition, and their own self-efficacy, so that they will graduate from your care a truly transformed person. You want a big, successful, powerful coaching practice. And maybe you're devouring our episodes looking for the silver bullet that's going to launch your business into the upper echelons. We've said it a million times and we'll say it again. Your coaching skills are what will make or break you and set you apart for success in this field. So if you're looking to level up your coaching skills and maybe dial up your credential and become a board-eligible health coach, look no further. You can learn more about PHCI's Level 2 program at primalhealthcoach.com/level 2. But if you would value talking to a real person about your path to being a masterful coach and perhaps a board certified coach, book some time with me personally. You can access my calendar at primalhealthcoach.com/call. Or just call me. You can reach me at 844-307-7662. Thank you for listening to Health Coach Radio, and I hope I get to talk to you soon.